Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. Week 11 Monday Night Football single game showdown between the Los Angeles Rams and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We have premium options at wide receiver, tight end, running back, quarterback. A really exciting game. However, there are ways that this game can go sideways. A 48.5 total on this one. The Buccaneers favored because they're at home by a small amount. I'm going to talk to you about how we can build lineups for this one, how we can build correlations on this game. And then possibly building a few lineups that are based on the story that you can tell. So like if the Buccaneers win this game, what things are we going to expect in return from the Rams? But if the Rams turn the game on its head, what type of stacks are we going to have to build with Rams captains to get us towards having the right Buccaneers in play at the flex, or whatever we have to do therefore. So let's get into that video. As always, thank you guys for clicking on the channel. I appreciate you guys coming back every single day during NFL season. I try to have as much content as I can for y'all, and I appreciate you guys showing up each and every day. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell. All three very free ways that you can help out the channel. Everything that you click, leave a reply down below. Everything that you do in terms of clicking helps out the channel in ways that you can't imagine. It just helps us get more views on the videos. It helps placement in the videos in terms of SEO, everything. So click something. If you want to go one step further, we do have the join button. There is a button right below the screen, right next to subscribe. If you don't see that, because some people said they don't see that, there is a link for how to do it in the description. Now, you can become a tier 1 member. That's all that I've enabled. You get some emotes that you can use here on YouTube as well as on your iPhone if you have that integration as well. But the real value add there is that you can join our Discord community. It's open to anybody, right? There are free channels in the Discord community, but the ones that are more trafficked are the ones that are locked to Twitch and YouTube subscribers. I've kind of commingled both of those universes, and that's where most of the chatter goes on. If you want to get better at daily fantasy and you're serious about it and doing it in a good, solid, troll-free learning environment, that's where our Discord comes in. Somebody for you to talk about DFS with pretty much whenever you want, 24/7, with a lot of different sports channels that we have in there. When NFL's going, NFL is really moving. When NBA season gets here, there's chatter in that channel pretty much every single day, and it's a great place to hang out. We're over 4,500 members strong in that Discord now, so definitely jump in on the community, and let's get to the video. So, as I said, we got the Rams against Tampa. As always, there's a couple of things that we have to talk about. One, obviously, the highest priced captains and the ones that are going to have more than likely, no matter what projection system you use, whether it's Fantasy Labs, whether it's rotogrinders, Daily Roto, Establish the Run, wherever. And there are links with discounts to all or most of those different services down in the description. Just click show more and you'll get a link. Most of them have a discount code that goes along with it. It's usually smizzle at checkout. Tom Brady and Jared Goff are going to have the highest projections on the slate. That's just the highest raw projection, just their median number that they're going to get to. So you're going to see a lot of people just jam them in at quarterback. And we've talked about this every single week. Of all the showdown lineups that have ever happened, right? Every showdown slate that's ever happened, about 15% total have been won with a captain quarterback. That's not to say that it doesn't happen. It's not to say that it's out of the realm of possibility that it's going to happen here. But if you try and run mass multi-entry, if you're playing in the big $11 or $15 tournaments on Monday Night Football, it's a $15 tournament, 2.25 million in that GPP. Or if you're playing the mini-max games, quarterbacks are overrepresented at captain versus the amount that actually end up in the winning lineup. So this is something that I need you to kind of take into consideration when you're building your lineups, whether you're using a lineup builder or whether you're building by hand, that I tend to not want to have. As good as Tom Brady is and as solid as he's been this year, we have ceiling games from him over 30 points, and that's great. He needs to throw for 300 yards and get you the bonus, needs to throw for 3 touchdowns. Also probably going to need to contribute, by having a quarterback sneak, because he's not a mobile quarterback by any means, but the Tom Brady quarterback sneak is undefeated. If they do get let's say a pass interference in the end zone and they get the ball placed at the 1 yard line, that is as likely as a Leonard Fournette or Rojo dive over the top or pound off guard just to have Tom Brady sneak it in. If he does sneak it in, there's a great chance that he might be the winning quarterback at captain. So aside from the running quarterbacks or the unicorn quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes, I tend to limit my quarterbacks at captain to 15 total, so about 8% max on either one. I'm probably going to go that route here. I may extend Tom Brady to 10%. But we have a situation with the Rams defense that has not allowed a single wide receiver against them to score 20 fantasy points in any game this season. So this could be either the outlier game if Tom Brady does carve up this Rams defense. And it's like everybody says, well, Ramsey's that great. Well, Ramsey hasn't really shadowed anybody this year. He just kind of plays his side, and they've got good players on the other side and at safety in this defense, and as well as, you know, that defensive line anchored by Aaron Donald is as good as any. So they get a ton of pressure. They're just tough to score on fantasy wise for opposing wide receivers. I am still going to build my Tom Brady at captain groups in case Tom Brady has one of those sorts of games. So those two groups that I talk about building, if you're building individual groups like on Daily Roto, or if you're going to use the rules that I'm going to highlight later in this video on Fantasy Labs, I'm going to include at least two of his pass catchers or kicker in every Tom Brady at captain lineup. So that means Mike Evans, that means Godwin, that means Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski, who is priced, in my opinion, pretty low for this slate, considering one, how tough it is to attack the Rams on the outside of the field. They're much more vulnerable in the slot and with tight ends than they are with outside wide receivers. So big touchdown upside from him, which could lead to great spots in captain. You saw I made him the cover boy on this. And then obviously going to include his kicker, Suckup, and possibly, not possibly, I'm going to include Brait in that. I'm going to include Miller in that, Johnson, but they're much lower options because of how they're priced. They're not 200 or 400 on this slate. They're actually priced up to a difficult point, especially with all the other pass catchers healthy, that guys like Scotty Miller is just not running routes and getting targeted when everybody is healthy. Same thing goes with Tyler Johnson. Draft Twitter loves him, right? Fantasy, Dynasty Fantasy Twitter loves this kid, but when everybody's healthy, especially with the addition of Antonio Brown, there's not enough food in the bowl with these four guys in front of them, not counting the running backs on this team like Rojo and like Fournette, who are also included somewhat in the passing game. So that's going to be my Tom Brady group. We're going to bring that back, meaning have players from another team. I'm going to include at least one of any one of the Rams players in that group, because you have to have 5-1 stacks are the most that you can build. So that's going to include every viable offensive player on the Rams. Darrell Henderson has been good, but he's a riddle wrapped in an enigma, just shrouded in mystery, and all of that is because Sean McVay. And as you guys know, if you've been long-term viewers of my content, I don't trust Sean McVay. I've never done it. I'm never gonna do it. Henderson has been #good this year. When he touches the ball, good things happen. The problem is every once in a while, McVay just says, you know what? I'm just gonna give Malcolm Brown the ball a bunch of times, and even as efficient as Henderson's been inside the 5-yard line, well, let's just give it to Malcolm. You know, he's pretty good. So like he gets vultured on these attempts inside. The problem is that if you're projecting that the Buccaneers play from ahead in this game, then you're probably not going to get a lot out of the running backs for the Rams. Right now, if you're projecting and building a game script where you think that the Rams are going to play from ahead in this game, and you've got a lineup where you say, okay, I think that Henderson is going to get a lot of the touches this week. I think that Henderson is going to get a 15 to 17 touch game here. And the Rams are going to get out to a lead, maybe a 14-6 lead, maybe a 21 to 13 lead, something like that, where they're going to be playing from ahead, and he's going to be the reason getting 1 or 2 touchdowns, especially as much volume as he's gotten in the inside the 5-yard line and in the red zone this season for the Rams. And he is one of the league leaders in both of those categories at running back, especially considering that he's not been the bell cow guy. His usage in that range is really high. So if Henderson is going to be your captain, you're going to say, okay, I think the Rams are going to play from ahead here. What type of lineups do you have to build? So you're going to build a group. If you have Henderson at your captain, that lineup's probably going to have to include Tom Brady, and then you're going to have to pick at least one of his pass catchers with Tom Brady and Henderson in there. That's going to make sure that you have the correct group that you want. So lineups that have Henderson and Brady, you're going to make sure that they have at least one of Brady's high volume pass catchers. I'm going to assume you're going to use either Gronk or Antonio Brown in that group, considering how difficult they are on outside wide receivers. I'm going to definitely build a group that includes max of one of the 2 defenses and 2 kickers in this game. You're going to have to kind of figure out which one the Rams kicker is going to be. I'm going to make sure that I only have one, but it's very easy on Fantasy Labs to just build a rule that says kicker defense at max 1 from the same game. If we're going to build pass catcher groups, and I would assume that the Rams pass catcher groups, these are two very good defenses that are extremely tough against the run. Tampa Bay is tough against the run. The Rams are kind of a run funnel defense. You want to run against them. So you've got running backs on the Buccaneers that we kind of have to sort out, meaning that Ronald Jones Jr., to me, has been the better running back this year. He's just been a stud. However, he gets himself in the doghouse because he's got fumbling problems and drops passes, and like there's issues with his, the kind way to put it, the politically correct way to put it is he has some ball security issues. So in games where he has some ball security issues, Leonard Fournette kind of comes in and takes things over. And especially when they get behind, they trust Leonard Fournette a lot more in the passing game, do the Buccaneers. We've seen him have 6, and 7 targets in games where they play from behind. So if you're projecting a game script where the Rams are going to play from ahead, you're going to want to probably prioritize Fournette over Rojo. If you're projecting that the Buccaneers are going to play from ahead and the Rams from behind, you might want to prioritize the other way. But Fournette is way too cheap on this slate for what he kind of does. Getting to the pass catchers, like I said, pass catcher and captain, if I'm going to use one of those outside receivers and say, you know what, I know how tough the Rams are, but the Buccaneers present different problems because of how good Tom Brady has been and how deep this passing game is and how good Arians' offense is, that one of their pass catchers is going to have a big day. We're going to make sure that Tom Brady's in every one of those lineups, whether it's going to be him or Godwin or Antonio Brown at captain, or Rob Gronkowski at captain, which gives you paths to a lot of different type of lineups because of how cheap Gronk is at captain. You would need a 2-touchdown game for that to be viable for him, but you can afford a lot more if you do that. Same thing goes for the Rams. If we're going to use Cooper Kupp at captain, I'm going to make sure that Jared Goff gets into that lineup. If you think that it's a Bobby Trees, Robert Woods sort of day at captain, then there you go. Obviously, we've had Josh Reynolds make a huge leap in his usage. He is really supplanted, like at the beginning of the season, him and Van Jefferson were kind of going back and forth in playing time and snaps and routes and everything. And Josh Reynolds has really taken control of that role and out targeted Woods a lot, especially in the short to intermediate range, but also has way more average depth of target, ADOT, than do either one of the other Rams receivers. He is leading this team in terms of ADOT. I'm not really all that interested in their tight ends, whether it's going to be Higbee or Everett on full slates, but on a single game showdown, I'm going to be interested in them in the flex, but probably not at captain at all, just because the Rams offensive line has had so many issues this year from the beginning of the season that their tight ends aren't getting out into the route as much as they used to. Both tight ends running less than 50% of routes per quarterback's dropbacks. They're both splitting time in this offense. They're boom or bust plays. Neither of them, in my opinion, are viable at captain unless there is a massive outlier situation where they have like a 3-touchdown game. And I don't think that you or I can say, you know what, I can predict that that's going to be the thing that happens. So in most cases, and that's what I want to do on these showdown slates, I want to be on the right side of the math as often as I possibly can. And so to me, the tight ends are not captain viable. So going over to Fantasy Labs, which is kind of who we profile on these showdown videos, you can see this is where it is from 0. You can go to your templates, you save your little rules, kind of like I do here. You can set your range of outcomes. The lower the range of outcomes are, the more it's going to stick to the optimal lineup. The higher you set it, it's this is like shuffle range of outcomes. You just hover over these question marks. It tells you exactly what it's going to be. It adds variance to the lineup building. For showdowns, I tend to stay between 5 and 15, depending on how I feel about that game, how many passing game options or how many different options I want to have. The lower it is, meaning 0 or 5, you're going to have higher percentile combinations on players. The greater you set range of outcomes, you're going to have more players in your player group, and therefore you're going to lower your allocations on each individual player. The rules that we use for the showdown slates: pair your captain quarterback with at least 2 wide receiver, tight end, and kicker. Exactly what we talked about in the hand building segment. Pair your captain quarterback with at least 1 of all the offensive players, not special teamers, for the opposing team. Pair captain wide receiver with exactly 1 quarterback from the same team, or a tight end with exactly one quarterback from the same team. And I'm going to limit to at most one defense or kicker from the same game. Apply those settings, come back here, set your however many lineups you're going to run, and generate lineups. We're going to just set it at 150 for the sake of this video. I don't know if I've already set the quarterbacks. Like I said, you're going to end up with more captain quarterbacks than usual. Never think that you're going to go to an optimizer site. No matter what it is, just run in with the vanilla projections that they have, not do anything other than setting some basic rules, click build 150 lineups and just print money. It does not work like that. That is just the most efficient way for you to possibly lose your money. It takes a lot of different rules and running these things and altering your min maxes and flame emojis and snowflake emojis to get the combinations that you want, setting different player groups and rules and correlations, boosting certain players when in the lineup and limiting when they're in the same lineup. So if you have never tried mass multi-entry, if you're a single entry guy, great. They have those options. If you're a 3-max person, you want to hand build, great. But if you've never tried mass multi-entry, these are the easiest tools to make it happen for you, and using it on a showdown, especially in those mini max games, the 5-cent, 10-cent, 50-cent games that are in the lobby, giving you a chance to run 150 lineups for like $7.50 up to $75 and give yourself a chance at winning between $2,000 and $10,000 on a slate of NFL. You may be the next great mass multi-entry player and just not know it. So there's a link down below. You can use promo code SmizzLife at checkout, or click the link that's going to be in the pinned comment section to go try out the lineup builder and the projections over at Fantasy Labs. Thank you guys for watching. Look out for another video right here. Good luck.
He's a legend.